Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
Hello everyone, Owlvine here. Long time no see again. I'm back, I'm here. I have lots of videos planned. Hopefully I will be gracing this channel with my presence at least once a week from here on in. We'll see how I go. Doing my best. So right before I sat down to start making this video, my chicken decided to start laying an egg. Now when chickens lay eggs, in case you didn't know, they make this horrendous racket, and just let everyone know that that's what's happening. Which, you know, considering what's going on, I guess it's not a huge surprise, like mine are owl. But hopefully she's stopped now. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm sitting here on this lovely spring day. The sun has just arrived, so it's super bright now. Hopefully the clouds don't play too much havoc with what's going on. I'm drinking an amazing tea in my Leo cup. There's paint on it because everything I own either has paint all over it, including my wall just behind you here, because I like to flick paint when I paint, or it has hair dye on it. I pulled out my ATM card today, my bank card, and it had hair dye all over it. I don't know how. I don't remember buying anything while I was dyeing my hair, but it's there. And I am wearing, I wanted to show you, my amazing crow amulet from Crow Haven Hollow. I love it. I will put an image here and over here in my mouth here so that you can see closer what it is. There's like a crow toe in there and all kinds of cool herbs and stuff, and I love it, and it's coming in very handy these last few days, so that's on me. Just a thing, an intro, what's going on, these little things in my life. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you about deity. I've had quite a few questions about deity recently on different platforms, people asking me different things, so I thought I would finally sit down and make a video on deity. So many of us work with deity in our practices, or we'd like to work with deity within our practice. This is not a necessary thing, you don't have to. You know, in this kind of pagan magical culture that we're a part of, you know, there is a lot of that. You know, there's a lot of people who work with multiple deities, or one deity, or deity in some form within their practice. And I know when I was coming into the craft, you know, I kind of felt that pressure to have a deity as well. It's like, oh, well, you know, you've got to have these certain things, you know, like you've got to have a spirit animal and a deity and an altar and this and this and this. And once you kind of got those things covered, then you'll feel like a witch, you know, or a pagan, or, you know, whatever it is, because witchcraft is not aligned with any one religion at all. It is across cultures, across religions, everything, but kind of within this sphere. You know, a lot of you who watch me are pagan witches, you know, not all of you. Some are Christo-pagans, some are atheistic witches. All is good, all is fair in love and war, in spirituality and in life, right? So that's the whole deity thing. So if you're kind of feeling this pressure, don't. Please don't. When I first began my practice, you know, I focused more for myself what felt resonant. Always go with what's resonant for you. I was focusing on the earth herself. I decided to call that energy Gaia because it was like a name that I could put on it, which felt a little bit more connective, you know, like to sort of focus on a name. That's kind of how we work as humans, you know, we like a thing, like a that to focus on, you know, that feels a little bit easier to connect with than just like a whole. So I called the earth herself Gaia, and worked a lot with nature, and just kind of went from there. And it was, I didn't have any deity come through for the first few years, and I just allowed that, you know, I allowed my process to be what it was, and then I did have some popping up. So then comes the next question, and this is a question that I hear and see of a lot, and that is being called or choosing a deity. So when do you know that you're being called by a deity? And is it okay to go out and just choose a deity, or do you need to be called to them? What's that all about? So in my opinion, if you're feeling drawn towards a deity, so if there is a god or a goddess out there that you're thinking, ooh, I'd like to work with them. I'd like to look into them a little bit more and see what they're about. To me, that is a feeling of being called. There is a reason that you're interested in that god or goddess. Now, you may arrive at that god or goddess. It may be an entity or an energy that you work with for a period of time, for a long period, for a short period, whatever it may be. Or that exploration may lead you to another deity that is the right one for you at the time. Either of those things is absolutely perfect. What you need to focus on, I think, when you are traversing this kind of path is just what you're connecting with. It doesn't matter what anyone else says around you, what anyone else is doing. What we're interested in is our own spiritual growth, our own spiritual connectivity, and that's what's important. It doesn't matter if you have one deity or if you have 27 million. What matters is how connected you are and how much you're growing within your practice, within your spirituality, and within your everyday life. That's what's important. So when we are feeling called to a deity, if we're feeling like there's an energy about, something's going on, someone's around, where do we go with that? What I look at is synchronicities. So what's popping up? A great way to collate everything that's going on is journaling. You know, I'm a massive journal whore. I love journals. I just bought myself a huge new pack of journals actually. I went through 6 last year. And we'll see how I go this year. It might be more, I don't know. I'm writing a lot. So journaling is a wonderful way just to kind of, you know, just write all the things down, all the different intuitive hits you're getting. You know, if a name is popping up to you a lot, if you keep seeing a certain god or goddess on Facebook or on the internet as you go around, you know, it seems like everyone's talking about them, you know, whatever it is. And if you feel a draw there, write all these things down. If you're having dreams, you know, if there's certain animals that are around all of a sudden that weren't before, things like that, write them all down. Now, what I did when I was looking into, you know, was the Morrigan around or not, what I did was write all these things down, and then I did research into what she was associated with. That only got me so far though. The thing with deity is, in my opinion, deity is an energy, a force, right? And it's not something that can be boxed. So everything that you read up on any deity out there is all coming from someone's felt experience of that energy. So it is not gospel. It is not absolute. It is not the only way. You need to focus on your own experience and your own feelings, and it's okay to get it wrong. It's okay to journey in and go through a period of discovery, you know, whether that be for a week or a few months or, you know, any length of time. It's okay to sit with that and explore that. You don't have to, don't focus on arriving at that point of like, okay, this is my goddess, or okay, this is my god. And I know the temptation because I've so been there before, like plenty of times. But that's not what's important. It's really, really not. What matters is your journey. So if you're calling to, let's say, feeling called to, let's say the Morrigan, right? She's around, you're feeling like, you know, she's a thing, you know, you're interested. The journey of exploring whether it is her energy around is going to bring you spiritual growth, which is amazing. Like, that's what we want. Yes. So don't be afraid to go into that exploration. Write things down, look for synchronicities, have a conversation. The next step is, if you are feeling like a specific deity is around, or even if it's an energy and you're not sure who it is, sit down and have a conversation. Light a candle, light an incense stick, whatever it is that helps you feel in that kind of centered mode, that spiritual mode. And have a conversation and say, Morrigan, I feel like you're around. Is this you? If it is, please make yourself known. Send me synchronicities. Make yourself obvious to me. And if it is not, then energy, whoever you are, same thing. Please give me synchronicities. Make yourself known. And they will. They will. It may take a little bit of time. That's cool. It's fine. We're on a journey. We're not arriving to a destination next week. It's fine. So I think the feeling of feeling called to a certain deity is something that sometimes is lauded over other people. You know, there are people out there who are like, oh, well, I was called by Odin, you know, I was called by Diana, and you just like are interested and chose to work with her, like it's like not as cool and like not as important or not as like ooh out there. Who cares? If you're feeling like you're interested in a deity, I feel like that is a form of being called to. So go with your gut, go with where your interests lie, take the journey, go into the exploration and see what happens. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about my view on deity. My view on deity swings around a lot. My spiritual path is full of contradictions, and I think that that is a beautiful and marvelous thing. And I think that if you look into yours, you might find a few of those contradictions and things in there as well, right? One of my contradictions is that I have quite a pantheistic view of the world. So what that means is I feel like everything is God, and God is in everything. This word God, right? Like deity, spirit, the cosmos, whatever it is, that energy of God is in everything. And I don't feel like different deities are necessarily like separate gods. What I feel like is that they are aspects of that same energy, that same life force, that same creativity, you know, whatever it is that God is, that the universe is. I feel like they're facets of that. And I don't necessarily think that they're anthropomorphic beings, like human-like beings that are like, you know, Odin is like this right here. Like there's Odin, just here, you know, and then over here is Diana. Can you tell I've got them on my mind today? Diana, you know, and over here is Baba Yaga, and over here is Ganesha, you know, like I feel like there is a collective energy that they're all a part of. That's kind of my view on it. However, my contradiction is that when I am working with a deity, I do almost go into this space of feeling like they are their own separate being as well. And I very much work with them like that. I address them as a figure that I'm working with. Does that make sense? So this whole idea of deity, I guess that this is almost, you know, it's like a whole different topic, but it's deity, right? You don't have to figure out exactly what deity is for you either, because I know there are a lot of you out there who have pantheistic views as well. And I know there are a lot of you out there who already have your kind of set up religious beliefs, and that's perfectly fine as well. And you do your thing, like I said, as long as you are feeling connected and as long as you're growing with that energy, that is awesome. And that is exactly where you want to be. Now, some people work with one deity from, you know, the beginning to the end, you know, when they die, it's the same, that's what it is. And that's awesome. And some people work with different ones all through their life. And some people work with a few and then arrive at one, and some have one, and then all of a sudden there's a few more that come in. It's all wonderful. So there is no one way that you have to experience spirituality, that you have to experience the universe, that you have to experience God. It can be, or goddess, whatever it is for you is wonderful. And I think it's really, it would be nice if more of us were more open-minded towards how others practiced as well. So a lot of people take it very personally when other people believe differently to what they do, because they take it as a personal attack. Like, if you don't believe what I believe in, then you're saying something against me. You're saying I'm wrong. And that's not necessarily the case at all. If you're feeling that way, that's something for you to look at. But have respect for how others practice. It is a little bit difficult in this day and age of political correctness to always be making sure we're, you know, keeping everyone happy and all that sort of thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about having a general respect for how others practice, how others see deity, all that sort of thing. And the most important thing is that you're just doing you. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying about your practice or about your beliefs. It really doesn't matter. It only matters about your connectivity. For myself, the way I work with deity, my deities have changed a few times. I guess my main deity focus has changed a couple of times throughout the last year or so, and I have at a few different times, like I've had I had Loki whip in a little while ago, just for probably about a month. He was around and then he was gone again. I was like, okay, bye. It's been fun. And I don't know if he'll come back. He may or may not. And then I've had recently another deity force come in who feels like they're going to be staying around for a while, you know, and that's cool as well. And I this whole like cross pantheon thing as well, that's another thing people get into. You know, can you have deities from different pantheons? See for yourself. Sit down, have a conversation. This deity, meet this deity from this other pantheon. Can we all get along and work here? Or not? For myself, I've always found all of the deities I've had, there's been a couple from the same pantheon, but I think there's been 3 or 4 different pantheons that I've worked with. And for me, there's no issue, you know. Again, go with your own feelings about it, your own experience. That is beautiful and perfect. But for me, I don't see any problem with it. I've never had a problem with it. They all seem to get along fine. I seem to channel them at different times too. Like there's been times, or connect with them. There's been times where I've had all of them together, you know, in a little harmonious grouping. And there's been times where I just focus on this one deity. You know, and the next day I might focus on this deity, you know, whatever it is for me. So I don't think the whole cross pantheon thing is like a big like, ooh, don't do that, you know, they're going to end up, I don't know what, having some kind of deity fight in the sky. Like, I'm sure it'll, you know, it's, you know, go with your gut feeling. Don't be afraid to explore that though, because if you're feeling interested or called to deities from different pantheons, I feel like there is probably a reason for that. So the way that we all work with deity is different. The way we feel connected to different deities is different. Some of us work with just one deity, some of us work with many. And all of it is good and all of it is beautiful as long as you are connecting with yourself and you're going with your gut space, your gut feeling on what is good for you. If you're learning and you're growing and you're connecting, then it's perfect. I would love to hear how you work with deity, your feelings on deity. You know, are they archetypes? Are they anthropomorphic beings, you know, beings that are there, their own separate thing in the sky? What are your views on deity? I would love to hear that. And if you have any questions at all on deity, I can go into another video on this depending on how many questions there are and all that sort of thing, or I will just answer them down below. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. It has been such a pleasure talking to you, and I will see you in the very next video. So much love.